Hello, Serendipitous here with another video for the board game shelf, and here we have Superfight. This was another game, another little board game that my wife and I got like early in our marriage or during our honeymoon or something. And the two of us are just nerdy like that, I'll explain. Basically, so you have white cards and black cards. This might look kind of like Cards Against Humanity, which, by the way, I will never own that game. That's a bit too adult for me and its humor. But basically, these white cards will have different kinds of characters and, archetypes, things like that. Some are orange. I will explain those in a little bit. But yeah, these are all just kind of different characters and archetypes. Pick a princess, dwarf, Darth Vader, sumo wrestler, Helen Keller, bodybuilder, Loki, the Doctor, witch, Frankenstein, Grim Reaper, hipster, and so on and so forth, right? So those are the person cards, and then these black cards over here are abilities. So for example, armed with a long electrified whip, wearing a jetpack, armed with an impenetrable shield, covered in eyes, 10 stories tall, is a hypnotist, has an invisible jet, controls an army of flying monkeys, and so forth. These are abilities. So the idea is, and there's lots of variations you can have here, but the idea is to, you're going to have, several of these various different kinds of cards, and you're going to choose two of them, and someone else is going to choose two of them, and you are going to basically argue which, you're basically going to argue which one would win in a fight, hence Superfight. It's kind of like, with like Death Battle or or like other channels or people who argue about who would win in a fight or whatever, stuff like that. So that's what we have here. So I drew some random cards. We have here a French Bulldog that leeches opponent's health when touched. And here we have Canada. The top half is Swarm of Killer Bees. It says play another character card from your hand. So yeah, so with this, who would win in a battle? Well, I would probably argue, obviously you want to try to argue for whichever one is yours, and other people can participate in that. But I would probably say, and there would be someone else who is a judge who kind of judges. So there's a little bit of that apples to apples kind of gameplay to it. But I would say Canada is so much larger than a French Bulldog, and there are ways that you can defeat a French Bulldog without touching it, essentially. But yeah, just random silly stuff like that. Maybe the French Bulldog player would be like, well, the Killer Bees' health would be sapped if they touch the Bulldog, so that would be that would be a problem. All that kind of stuff. Really silly stuff. And there's other variations and whatever in here. So some of those cards are orange, and that's because there are little expansions to this, and this is the one that we got. We bought this at the same time we bought Superfight. This is the orange deck, which is basically a bunch of geeky cards. So, and geeky as in Dungeons and Dragons, World of Warcraft, video games, that kind of stuff. There's a few extra stuff in here that couldn't quite fit, but yeah, that is Superfight, and it's super cool. I like it. A game of absurd arguments. Yeah, I haven't played this in a little while, but it's cool to have. It's just kind of a fun and silly party game, especially if you're playing among, other people who like, Dungeons and Dragons or superheroes or fantasy, sci-fi, whatever. Other fellow geeky or nerdy people would appreciate, this collection of Superfight that we have. So anyway, thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and until next time, all the best.